Hi, Claire. Thanks for your time today to catch up with you on sustainability issues and how you incorporate them into your Circa Skin and Well Facial businesses. The last time we spoke, you helped me to write an article for the Consulting Room magazine about Kysense and why you chose to distribute this dermal filler on the basis of its sustainability credentials. And I think in particular, we touched on the fact that the box, that it comes in a box containing 4 syringes, which, as you discussed, significantly reduces the environmental impact of transportation around the world. Having a side benefit, of course, for a clinic owner with requiring less storage, but also the fact that all of it was recyclable as well is a little bit of a novelty, isn't it, in our industry, where most of these dermal fillers come in, single box syringes that aren't recyclable. So I know that this was only launched last year by yourself in the UK, but can you elaborate further on your work with the manufacturer and your plans to enhance the sustainability credentials for Kysense, please?
Yeah, I mean, I think for the manufacturer, actually, when I was having the initial conversations with them, sustainability was not something that they'd really considered. But for me, the pack was always going to come in a 4 ml syringes in a box. But what my job was to design the packaging, to design the logo, the colours, all that kind of stuff. That was my involvement in the development of the product. So not necessarily the development of the hyaluronic acid that goes in the product, but the development of the packaging. And for me, the conversations that we were having in the very early days is like, where is the card sourced from? Is it near to where we get the product manufactured? Is it recyclable? Is it sustainable? So just... and I kind of then making sure that we had an instructions for use that wasn't too big and bulky. So just 1 instructions for use for 4 1 ml syringes as well dramatically reduces the amount of product that gets wasted or paper that gets wasted. And having that kind of plastic insert that's recyclable as well was really important for me. So I think there's a lot more that I could probably do moving forward with the manufacturers. There's other little things that I want to do, like it has got a small plastic sticker seal over it, and I would like to change that to something that's compostable. But I think for the time being, to make any changes to a product that is a CE marked product is incredibly difficult and takes a very, very long time. But there are all things that we are considering for the future, particularly at the moment I'm the global distributor for the product as well, and in a few years I'll be taking over the manufacturing of that product, and I think that's when I'll be able to make a bigger difference to the overall sustainability and the environmental considerations of the product and the impacts that we have. I think one of the things when you're working or when you're shipping products like that is the amount of space that they take up as well, like on containers and trucks, ferries, airplanes, however you choose to distribute. We do distribute by road and ferry because that's the most sustainable way to do it. It does mean it takes a little bit longer for the product to get into the country, and we also then have to kind of think about temperature control if we're shipping in, particularly in weather like this. But it does mean that it's a much more sustainable and environmentally friendly way of shipping product. But because of the way that Kysense is packaged, we use a lot less road transportation than, say, another company who's packaging 1 ml syringe in a box with 1 instructions for use.
Of course.
For example, what the amount of the quantity of product that we ship will go on 22 pallets. They'll ship the same number of syringes, but it'll go on 63, 64 pallets and need 2 or 3 trucks to transport it. So that really has an impact on our carbon footprint as well.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I've seen, lots and lots of different sectors are looking at the carbon footprint of different products within the sectors, particularly in the food industry. So we've seen that as well, haven't we? It'd be really interesting to look at the carbon footprint of different dermal fillers. I don't know how you'd be able to do it, because obviously the manufacturers would have to be open with, exactly how it was manufactured, electricity use, for instance, where that came from. And as you said, all of the shipping from the main points of manufacture to all the distribution points around the world. So maybe that'll come at some point. I don't know.
I mean, obviously you'll probably know more about this than I will because of the studying that you've done, even though I have looked into it and I've been on courses about sustainability and looking how you become carbon neutral as a company. There is so much in it, you know, kind of how much electricity your fridge uses to you know, in the office, your lighting, your shipping, absolutely everything needs to be considered. And then you have to work out how to offset that carbon to become carbon neutral. So it's a huge job. But all I can say to anybody who's thinking about becoming more sustainable or more environmentally friendly is start somewhere. Start small. If you're not doing anything, start small. It still surprises me how many clinics don't have recycling bins in them. It really does. You know, when they're throwing a lot of waste, so obviously your clinical waste needs to go into a clinical waste bag and all this other kind of stuff, but there is a huge amount of product and waste that we can recycle in this industry. And because of difficulties, I think as well, and I think local councils have a lot to do with this, is that they don't, it's difficult for them to recycle commercial or to collect commercial waste. Almost, I think that's what I tend to find, especially like around Harley Street, which is kind of a hub for aesthetics as well. The recycling around there is absolutely terrible. It really is. So I think, as you know, as a small business or a bigger business, if you've not thought about it, just thinking about it a little bit and starting somewhere can, you know, if we all do it, we can have an impact.
I totally agree. I think, you know, start small, look at what you can do, the easy steps, and then, you know, you can then start to look at the bigger steps and bigger projects. And, you know, particularly things like energy, for instance, which I wrote an article about recently, again, in Consulting Room magazine, you know, which is quite topical because of the, you know, the huge increase in energy prices. And I'm really pleased that I put solar panels on my house last year. It's made a massive difference to, you know, the cost of electricity. I mean, we're not really spending any money on electricity at all in the, you know, the current heat wave. But, you know, that does require obviously investment and the ability to be able to stick that on, you know, a building, particularly if it's leased or whatever. But, you know, those are the bigger things. But there's certainly things that you can do from an energy efficiency perspective in terms of looking at lighting, you know, the lighting that's used, how you heat the area, you know, turning lights off. There's loads of things like that. But anyway, I know that it's not just Kysense that you've kind of looked at from an environmental perspective as well. It's your whole business, isn't it, Claire? You know, you wanted to run a business that incorporated as much as you could do from a sustainability perspective. So can you tell me some of the things that you've done or planning to do in your business this year?
Yeah, so I think, you know, three years ago when I launched the Wow Fusion device, the way that it was packaged, that the needle head was separated in the blister pack from the vial. So what we decided to do is that we would screw the needle head onto the vial so that we could make the blister pack smaller. Since then, also, we've made the needle head smaller, which is only a tiny little bit of plastic. It worked out 1 gram lighter on plastic. But when you're shipping tens of thousands of the product, that again makes a slight difference as well. So that was one of the things that we did with the Wow Fusion device. We've recently and we're going to change this. We've changed this for this summer, is our intradermology. So our Synergy 6 SPF, we have removed the card because we were struggling to get sustainable or recyclable card. So what we decided to do is that we would unbox it and go nude, as we called it. And then from that, I decided that actually, because it was such a good seller and we were coming into the summer months, is that we get rid of the 50ml bottle and make a 100ml bottle, because again, that dramatically reduces our carbon footprint down in shipping, the weight and the amount of plastic that we use. And in terms of kind of electricity needed to manufacture 100 and bottle 100 mils of product compared to 50 mils of product, it's not double. So again, you know, we can think about that reduction in electricity, a reduction in shipping, reduction in plastic, and reduction of cardboard packaging as well. So that's a couple of things that we've done for Wow. I recently, when I first launched the Wow Fusion serums as well, I used a foil cover, a foil, what's it called? Like a foil stamp on the packaging, on the outside of the packaging. So the inside of the packaging was all recyclable, the IFU, the card. We used environmentally friendly glue to glue the inside of the box as well, but the sleeve had this foil on it. So more recently, I've gone to a non-toxic recyclable print method as well, so that entire sleeve can be recycled and ditched the foil. So it's still gold, but it's not shiny gold. It's kind of an off gold. So just little things like that really kind of make a difference. And another policy that we implemented, which was something that you've put on our sustainability in aesthetics group, was about deleting old emails. So we had, had a meeting about that at work after you'd put that article up, saying, right, okay, we need to look at deleting emails as well, because storage of emails uses up electricity, not just for us, but actually in the world. And I think it's just one of those unseen things. I'd never even thought about it. And I read the article and I was like,
I hadn't.
Of course. They've got to sit somewhere. It's not just, it's literally not a cloud in the sky, is it? It's a cloud somewhere else. It's run by using energy. So
absolutely.
So we had a meeting about that at work as well. We have an environmental policy and standard operating procedures that we run through our quality management system as well for Wow Facial, just so that people who are new into the company can read that standard operating procedure about environmental policy as well. So yeah, where we can, we make small differences. For Wow Facial as well, we also plant trees. We don't plant enough trees to be carbon neutral because, like I said, actually working out what our carbon footprint is a huge job. And I think at this moment in time, we don't have the finances to fund looking at how we become entirely carbon neutral. But just planting trees every month is one of the things that we do as well. But that's definitely not enough for us to become carbon neutral. I know that, but it's a small change that if everybody made these changes, we could, as an industry, have a huge impact on the environment, I believe.
Absolutely. Well, I think it's amazing because talking to you, and obviously I talk to a lot of people from different companies, some small, some huge, global, NASDAQ quoted companies. And there's no one I've spoken to you who's kind of gone down to that level of detail and enthusiasm around what you've done. It just isn't. So, I absolutely congratulate you, because I think you are probably a pioneer in our marketplace. And I think both you and I believe that this is the future. I think we're all going to have to do this. And as you know, the idea of the Facebook group, particularly really looking at clinics, is actually saying this makes good business sense to actually incorporate these, some of these things into your own business and start to talk about them from a clinic perspective, a clinic owner's perspective, because there are people out there that are wanting to put their money into into clinics that have that messaging. But I think as a distributor, you're probably a little different, as we know, because there aren't that many suppliers that are really talking about this or doing stuff. So what difficulties do you have in raising the importance to clinic owners of working with suppliers like you who are trying to run their businesses in a more sustainable manner?
Well, I think when we start having the conversations with our clinics about what we do, kind of we use the fact that we plant trees in our marketing. Of course, we talk about that Kysense is packaged in 4 ml syringes, dramatically reducing the carbon footprint, and that we have a strong environmental policy. So mixed response sometimes. Some people really get it. They love it because they're trying to do the best they can themselves, and buying a product that, particularly like Kysense, buying a product that eases their conscience a little bit is a good idea for them as well. But then on the flip side of that, I deal with a lot, we distribute Kysense a lot in the Middle East. They have a real problem with the packaging. It's not luxurious enough, even though for me, I'm saying, listen, the quality of the product is good. And for me, the second important thing wasn't about how luxurious it looked in its packaging. It was about how sustainable it was. So trying to encourage other distributors that we deal with globally, particularly in markets like the Middle East, where luxury is all about this fancy packaging, to be pioneers is something that I really want to do. And I think, you know, just reminding our customers that the packaging is recyclable as well, reminding them that we reduce the plastic down on the Wow facial, on the Wow Fusion device. There are other products out there that are very similar that come in a lot more packaging as well. So just kind of reminding people that we have quality products, and the packaging is good enough for the products. And a sustain, you know, and more environmentally friendly is just one of the things that we've got to do. But I do find some people really don't care about it, which is a shame. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to change I'm going to change my messaging. I won't. I will continue. I'll continue the good fight. I think I was brought up by a pair of hippies. So my dad used to walk around barefoot. My mum was a gardener. My dad was a plant scientist as well, a plant geneticist. So that kind of environmental awareness and conditioning has been around with me since I was a child as well. So, and there's definitely more that I could do on a personal level as well. I mean, you know, I do all the things that we should do at home, like recycling, turning the electricity off, not wasting water, all that kind of stuff. But I still feel there's more on a personal note that I could do. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and I think with this, I think we're all on a different level of awareness, and not only the awareness, I think it's the action, isn't it? It's the key thing. So I think we're all aware that there's an issue. It's really what you're doing personally and or from a business point of view to try and address these things. And you know, as I say, we're all different, but I think we are still, certainly as a sector, I think the aesthetic sector is in the very early phases of this. You know, there are other sectors that are much more advanced. In fact, actually, if you look at the beauty sector overall, you know, there's a lot more going on from a point of view of retail beauty, for sure, and skincare products that are going through, you know, your normal retail routes, where the messaging, there's a big shift towards environmental messaging.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot more of, there seems to be a lot more companies working towards a circular economy in beauty, you know, with this messaging where you can send your packaging back and you'll get, they have like refill products and refill pouches and things like that. It's something that you see a lot more now in beauty than we do in aesthetics.
Yeah.
So
I think overall it'd be really interesting, and I think also from your point of view, as we discussed as well, as someone who will actually have as well power over the manufacturing capacity capability of this, I think it'd be really interesting to look at getting maybe some of the other companies together to kind of look at you as a model and looking at what they could learn from you, because I think, you know, part of this will come, it'll be it's too costly or too difficult or whatever. But I think from your perspective, you know, you are small as a business owner, but have managed to kind of, you know, grapple with these things and actually make practical changes. I
think it's always going to be easier when you start off smaller. Yeah. When you're small. And I think the issue that we have, especially with some of the bigger companies, the bigger pharmaceutical companies, they're 50, 60 years old. So, or even older, you know, they don't, and it was never a conversation back in the early days. So then trying to implement it now is, and I hate to say this as well, particularly when they're shareholder owned businesses, when profit, that profit does go before people and the environment, unfortunately. But you know, it's definitely something that I think we should be talking about more often. And I think, you know, in future, you know, when we do bigger events, like we did a lot of the exhibitions this year as well, because we were launching, and we've reused our stand over and over and over again, and it's looking a bit tatty now, but I'm like, I don't care, just put it up, because I can't stand the idea of throwing it away or wasting it. But next year we're going to really kind of pare back what exhibitions we do, because I do need a new stand. And actually, I think, you know what, I think I would rather do some big events that I can look at the sustainability of and have less waste as well, because it makes the exhibitions actually make me feel a little bit sick when the carpet goes down and the carpet goes up and it goes.
I know. All to landfill.
It really doesn't sit easy with me.
No.
And I think, that maybe starting with some of the people who are running the exhibitions as well, in general, not just in our industry, but in general, about, about their waste as well. And I think some of the exhibition companies are really starting to think about sustainability. So the stand designers and things like that. I'm getting a lot more messages from companies who make stands that are recyclable, that they'll repaint, that they'll regraphic and all that kind of stuff, which we weren't doing that a few years ago. So I think in that sector, they're thinking about it. But yeah, if I do more events just based around my brands, I can make sure they're more sustainable. And then I will probably invite you in to come and talk to our customers about what they can do.
Love to.
Sustainable. Yeah. That's probably, put it on the agendas.
Wonderful. Well, thanks, Claire. It's been, as always, a pleasure talking to you. Yeah, and I know we're going to have many of these conversations over the years, and hopefully, these kind of conversations will encourage clinic owners to really look at this and look at this from a marketing opportunity perspective, because I truly believe that because I've seen it with my daughter's clinic and how she's incorporated sustainability into her business and how that's absolutely resonated with her customers. So I think there's definitely a profit motive there, but also I think particularly, hopefully, this will encourage other suppliers, big and small, to look at sustainability issues and what they can do as suppliers as well, or distributors. So thanks, Claire, and enjoy, hopefully, a very sunny sunny weekend, rather.
Yes, not bank holiday yet.
No, not yet.
August. August is the next bank holiday. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. Have a nice weekend.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.